What's up, Couch Fam? Welcome to my Week 10 waiver wire video. Just a quick reminder that the trade deadline is approaching and there are still some bye weeks, but they are almost over. All right, guys, so the 4 teams on bye for this week are the Chiefs, Dolphins, Eagles, and Rams. We got a pretty big bye-mageddon coming up week 13, by the way, with 6 teams on bye that week. Let's go on to the waivers. On this show, of course, we do the top waiver wire as ranked for every single position. We have some quarterbacks to add. Russell Wilson, Josh Dobbs, and kind of want to stop on Josh Dobbs. Is he a must add? Man, in a 12-team league, I don't see how this guy shouldn't be rostered. Like, I feel like he really needs to be rostered. He played well on the Steelers, played well on the Titans, played well on the Cardinals. He's just one of the guys that kind of slipped through the cracks, never really got the respect. And what he did week 9 to win that game, put up a ton of fantasy points, by the way, and have a disaster start. Like, it was looking like the Falcons were going to demolish them. I got to give this man props. Could even have him number 1 on this list. Sam Howell also worth an add. Kyler Murray, ladies and gentlemen, is activated, so you may want to go add him. And then if you're really desperate or looking for more depth at QB, we got Geno Smith, Will Levis, and Baker Mayfield. And I really like Will Levis, but as of right now, he's more of a, hey, does this guy have that upside? Like, I like him. I have faith in him. But I don't know if he's a guy I want to necessarily start in a 1 QB league. Still have reservations, but he does have that upside. By the way, he's been named the starter, and Ryan Tannehill will be the backup quarterback for the Titans. And then team that's facing the Titans, of course, is the Bucs this week. So I got Baker Mayfield on there as well. Not too bad of a quarterback to add. For running backs, we got Keaton Mitchell, who led the league in rushing yards last week. This is a situation where I'd be very hesitant on saying that Keaton Mitchell is good. Because they have Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, and a great running quarterback in Lamar Jackson. But then there's the other side of the coin. He kind of checks all the other boxes. So the only box he's not checking is that, okay, this guy is going to probably be the clear-cut workhorse. Like, this guy has a path to be the bell cow. That's not really there. We can't check that box off. Every other box we can check off. So speed, home run hit, that's kind of the same thing. Talent, right? You don't really know what talent he has in the NFL yet, or we didn't until last week, kind of where we actually saw it. But before that, we could say that there was some upside there. There was some potential. There was some talent as a prospect. So he's got that. And here's the big ones. He's got the team. He's on a good team, good offense, good coach. And these guys somehow, they can always run the ball. It doesn't matter who the OC is or what's going on or what formation. Lamar, Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, we've seen them all run it. And back in the day, at least for a few games, we've seen J.K. Dobbins. He had a lot of potential this year if he was healthy. So this is a team that can run. This is an offense that can score. Running back could get touchdowns, especially in a positive game script where this team, the Ravens, have a big lead. We can see running back score multiple touchdowns. We've seen it multiple times this year. So he's going to be my number 1 add. Kind of comparing him to maybe like Will Levis. Like, we've seen the talent. It's good. We know he's got the upside. Not too confident in him, but like, that's an odd comparison, right? The reason I'm comparing those two is like, in a 1 QB league, I just need an elite quarterback. Like, is he elite or not? Like, quarterbacks are a dime a dozen. You can just go stream one or add one. But if in a Superflex league, Will Levis is like gold. Like, you got to get him. So that's kind of how I compare with Keaton Mitchell, as in, like, he's got upside, he's got talent. Let's see if he's startable. Just like Will Levis. But running backs, very scarce, just kind of like Will Levis in the Superflex League. So hopefully you got that comparison, and I didn't lose you, but he is my number one RB to add. I think that speaks volumes there. If you can't get him, go get Tyler Algier. Arthur Smith loves losing him. Arthur Smith is a loser. We all hate him. Khalil Herbert's coming back. Antonio Gibson, third down back, involved in the pass game. Good for PPR. Zach Charbonnet, he makes the list every week. He's doing okay. Seahawks are kind of in a funk, but he is the de facto de facto handcuff to Ken Walker. Anything were to happen to him, Zach Charbonnet would become an RB1. And we got Elijah Mitchell, the handcuff to CMC, and Joshua Kelly, who is frustrating, but he's also an important handcuff to a banged-up Chargers team. So if anything were to happen to Eckler, Joshua Kelly, we're going to add him again, and he's going to let us down again. And I'll fall for it yet again, the Joshua Kelly trap. For wide receivers, actually almost started recording this without Tank Dell on this list. Not because I don't like Tank Dell, like the best receiver at week 9, which is crazy. But it's because I thought he was already rostered in a lot of leagues. Come to find out, he's only rostered in half of leagues. And that's unacceptable. I just seen him get traded away for a half of an old peanut butter jelly sandwich in the subscriber league I'm in. Come on, guys. What is going on? This guy's really not rostered in a lot of 12-team leagues. I'm just absolutely shocked. So he is a must-add. I mean, come on. Like, what is going on here? Like, get your stuff together, man. Go add this guy if he's available on waivers. If you can't get him, Jahan Dotson is back. Last 3 weeks, he is balling. Demario Douglas, my favorite receiver on the Patriots. Michael Wilson, I have on here. More of a reservation, like, stash. Like, I want to see this guy with Kyler Murray. Now, Kyler Murray has a strong connection with Hollywood Brown back in college years and on the Cardinals as well. So, I get that. But they don't have a lot of weapons there, right? Zach Ertz, IR, not a huge pass catching back, right? So they don't really have a ton of players. Rondell Moore is like a limited type of receiving option. So Mike Wilson could very much be the number 2 option on that passing offense. Maybe number 3 behind Trey McBride, but Trey McBride will be up and down. So I just want to stash this guy like really badly. I think you can get him for really cheap. If we're talking about FAB, how much to bid on him? I'd bid very little. I think you can get him for stupid cheap, like $1 or something. And let's see how he does when Kyler Murray plays a game or two. I think he'll do better or be more consistent or get targets or something. I really like how he's been this year, just not necessarily startable in a 12-team league most weeks. And the 1 week where he did explode, he was very likely on your bench unless you were struggling with a ton of injuries or you were in a deep league. Moving on, not really a lot of good options here. Wan'Dale Robinson, Zay Jones, Juju Smith-Schuster kind of becomes a top option for the Patriots by default in their pass game. Jameson Williams, who's going to be very inconsistent. Lions have too many weapons, and we can't really trust like the 5th best weapon on that offense to get us points consistently. Noah Brown is a big topic of discussion. I like him. I like his quarterback. We've seen him play good in the past on different teams in spurts. But what's really coming down to it is he's not going to be the main target. CJ Stroud's not going to throw for 400 yards every game and be the best quarterback every single game. And Noah Brown is, I'd say, probably the 4th option just behind Dalton Schultz. Tank Dell, Nico Collins ahead of Noah Brown. So I'm not going to be too high on him. Nonetheless, I mean, if I were to rank him at number 6 on here or 7, something like that, that would be very acceptable because he does have CJ Stroud. So not hating him, I'm probably a little bit lower on him than most. Even if he's good, I see him being wildly inconsistent. Even Tank Dell, who's very good. I think everybody can agree with that. He's been wildly inconsistent this year. So I don't see how Noah Brown, you're going to know when to start him the next good game he has. And that touchdown was off a very big play where he got a ton of yak. We got Khalil Shakir in deep leagues and Jalen Tolbert, somewhat of a couch sleeper, a couch stash, or whatever you want to call it, or a couch bust. Talked about him quite a bit last year. Good to see him get 5 targets and get in the end zone. Oh, baby, is Jalen Tolbert back? I don't know. But Dak Prescott's been playing much better since the Niners destroyed the Cowboys. That was several weeks ago, though. And for tight ends, we got Dalton Schultz, and man, he's not really that great, but he is the number 1 pass catching tight end for CJ Stroud. Gotta be an ad. You gotta add him. He got 33 points in my tight end premium league. Absolutely crushing it for our high stakes dynasty best ball team. So props to you, Dalton Schultz. And that's a league where we have Travis Kelce. So Travis Kelce had like the worst game of his life. And then we got Dalton Schultz having like the best game of his life, which, ended up working out, right? Who knows, right? Jake Ferguson, Dalton Schultz starting in our best ball lineup, while Travis Kelce's on the bench. Hey, love it. Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, Cade Otton, Gerald Everett, Luke Musgrave, Chika Okonkwo, Juwan Johnson, Tyler Conklin, Daniel Bellinger, Donald Parham. Just wanted to list off those for those that are listening and not watching the video. Essentially, you guys know what tight ends are. They're up, they're down, they're unpredictable. Just be thankful we do have some semi-decent names on here. And a guy that probably not going to be promoted by other fantasy analysts is Gerald Everett. Keep in mind that Herbert did not throw the ball. It was a one-sided game. Special teams, defense completely just dominated the Jets. They almost scored the defense and special teams were nearly scoring 3 touchdowns that game. They were going insane. So there's just no need to sling the rock. The only guy who got targets that game was Keenan Allen. Nobody else really caught anything. I think Eckler had some targets, dropped a couple balls though. So in a game where it's more of a shootout, maybe not necessarily this week, but later it's going to be more of a shootout. Herbert's going to throw the ball. We know he's a gunslinger. Gerald Everett is looking good too, man. He's very athletic. He's a good fit on that team. When Herbert's throwing the ball, look for Gerald Everett to get a lot more targets, a lot more big plays, and a lot more throws at the goal line within the 10, within the 5-yard line. So Gerald Everett's kind of a sleeper. Similar to Michael Wilson. I think you can get him for super cheap, and that could be a great tight end too for your team. So look for Gerald Everett to do good. We know that Keenan Allen's a guy, Eckler's a guy, but Joshua Palmer placed on IR. Quentin Johnson, absolute bust, even though he should be the number 2 receiver on that team, or number 3. At least that's what some fantasy managers thought. He's just been horrible. He's done nothing this year. For defenses, I'm going to be honest. Don't worry too much about the rankings. They're all over the place. Algorithms are showing, projections are showing Seahawks defense is going to ball out. I don't trust that at all. Jets D, I think everyone's kind of in agreement that Jets D is a good streaming option. But nonetheless, I got the Jets D at number 1. Then after that, don't even worry about the rankings. I'll just list them off to you guys. We got the Bills D. Even though they're rostered in 90% of leagues, people are dropping them left and right, here and there. So they could be dropped. Maybe they were dropped last week as well. They're going up against the Broncos. Not a horrible offense, but kind of an inconsistent team. A potential for the Bills to get a lot of big plays. All it takes is one big play for your defense to go off. We all know that. It's all about the big plays. We got the Niners D. They got Chase Young for free, so let's see what happens there. Colts D going against the Patriots. Raiders D going against the Jets in a low-scoring game. Zach Wilson's the quarterback for the Jets. Patriots D going against the Colts. Bears D going against the Panthers. Low-scoring game there. Packers D going against the Steelers. Steelers offense does not put up points. And, of course, Panthers D going against the Bears. Want to make sure Justin Fields is playing or not. Just do your due diligence if you're thinking of starting the Panthers D. Oh, boy. Don't really trust them. Buccaneers D going against the Titans could be a low-scoring game there, possibly. Seahawks D going against the Commanders. And if you're in a super deep league, we have the Falcons D and Cardinals D going up against each other. For kickers, the number one elite option is going to be Brandon Aubrey. Now, I can't predict field goal attempts. People think they can. It's pretty much unpredictable, but what I can predict is the Cowboys having a huge commanding lead throughout the entire game. I can predict a lot of extra point attempts and possibly field goal attempts. Don't know which one, but it's going to be the kicker's going to be trotting out there a lot. I'm going to predict that safely and confidently. Hopefully some of them will be field goals if you have Brandon Aubrey. The Giants are one of the worst teams in the league now, especially with Waller, Tyrod Taylor, and Daniel Jones all out. It's looking pretty bad. So Brandon Aubrey is the kicker to me this week that has the absolute highest floor. Absolutely love him. If you can't get him, consider one of these kickers here. Evan McPherson, Younghoe Koo, Jake Moody, Tyler Bass, Jason Myers, Daniel Carlson, Blake Grupe, Riley Patterson. This is going kind of deep here. Cameron Dicker or Matt Gay. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this video. If you have a fantasy football question, drop a YouTube comment. I read every single comment. Also, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel and subscribe to our second YouTube channel, Fantasy Couch Podcast. We're doing a lot more Dynasty content on there, so do make sure you subscribe to both our YouTube channels. Thank you guys so much, and check you guys on the next video / live stream. Hack my lineup every Wednesday night. See you there.